Here's the funny thing. That tune is actually, when I wrote it, it's called Frank of the Future.
Okay.
Frank of the Future. Today we are here with Frank Brands, Frank Stebbing. He's going to talk to us a bit more about branding essentials. Specifically, today we're going to be covering how you might be wasting money on marketing, social posts, email campaigns, SEO, sales page, the whole gamut, because you don't have a unified brand. I've got slight camera issues, but while I'm sorting my life out, Frank, would you take it away, please?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, great to be here, and good morning to one and all.
Good morning.
Yes, I mean, really, it's a continuation of previous conversations, and I find a lot of businesses, smaller businesses that I work with, they struggle. They're struggling with growth to attract clients, and I would like to make a bold statement around that. We've all done it. We're all guilty. We've all done this. I think that a lot of business are completely wasting a shed load of their money and effort on, the marketing, social media posts, email campaigns, SEO, sales pages, adverts, flyers, pitch decks, brochures, the whole lot, which sounds counterintuitive. So it's understandable.
But hang on, are they wasting money in the sense that they shouldn't be doing those things, or are they wasting money because they're doing those things in a disjointed manner?
Well, I think you've got to the heart of the matter there. It's all those things are excellent, but only if they're done properly. And
well, yeah.
I guess that's what we'll get into here. It's completely understandable why people get all this. They get it kind of back to front, and the reason why is that we're bombarded every day by experts telling us that to get more clients and find more success, we need all that stuff. We need SEO, paid ads, social media strategy, new website, shiny new CRM. And I've done this before, where all of us have fallen for it. It's the new shiny thing that we jump onto, think, oh yeah, I want a bit of that, and that's going to really solve all my business problems. And to be honest, the list is endless of stuff that you can add into your business, and it gets really, it stresses us out. We get confused, and something needs fixing in your business because you're not attracting clients, you're not getting that growth you need. But it's like, which part of the business is it? What is failing? And that's why we tinker around with all these different marketing activities without moving us forward. So yeah, I think it's to get to the crux of the matter is exactly what you say. What many business owners, what they fail to grasp is that if you've got a business, you've got a brand. Whether you know you've got a brand or not, or whether you think you've got a brand, if you exist, I exist, therefore I am a brand. So, and that brand exists on every single touch point your business has with planet Earth and the inhabitants therein. So it's either going to work for you or it's going to work against you. If it's either very well done or it's been ignored and it's badly done. So, and if it's not perfectly, if your brand isn't perfectly optimized, then sure as shite, it's going to work against you. Unless you've got a genius product or service that doesn't need branding. But very few of us, myself included, million branding people out there. You work within social media and those sort of things. Lots of them around as well.
Yeah.
So the brand, although I am incredibly biased, the brand is really necessary to get that in place first, and then you can start doing all those other things that we mentioned. Because the reason being that if you're doing those activities and they're pushing, all those efforts are pushing the audience and the world towards a brand that looks a little bit lackluster and doesn't have wow factor, sitting in comparison to the competition, then really you're chucking loads of money into something that's you're wasting money and time.
So it's about having a brand that's recognizable similarly across all these different multiple streams. Is that what you're driving at? There's got to be enough recognizable similarity between it all that you can understand that you're always referring to the same element, the same basic thing.
Yeah, so it's building up trust, and I think that's the crux of it, isn't it? If look, there's, as I just talked about, there's literally thousands and thousands of competitors out there who offer exactly the same as what we offer. And the internet has, bless it, has given it immediate access to all of them, all of our competitors, darn it, and who maybe they not as good as us, but they're really killing it in our market. So, and if they're not as good as we are, if their service is pretty ropey, the chances are that they've spent a bunch of money investing in developing an attractive and effective brand system. And because they look professional and they're attractive and they sound professional, they might not be. The first impressions are really critical to make that spark of connection.
Right.
And at the end of the day, people associate a really strong, clear brand with quality and status, and that builds up trust. And trust is, that is the main thing that we need as businesses, because people only make a buying decision. They're only going to get their cash out their pocket and invest in you as a solution if they trust you. If they think, it's essential to build that trust to generate sales. And
we're living in an ever more cynical world, aren't we? And
I try not to be.
No, well, I think it's inexorable. You look around the news, look around everywhere around the place. People don't tend to buy into an idea, a thing, or a process, or a brand the first time they see it.
No,
it's elements of belief. Every time, effectively, what you're doing every time you see a brand, you're saying, "Is this credible?" Almost internally, without you thinking about it. Do I believe in it? Is this something I'm drawn to? And it needs to almost keep building, or at least maintaining. The first time you ever see a brand, it doesn't necessarily have to fill you full of the joys of spring, but it shouldn't push you away.
Yeah.
And if it keeps being consistent and showing up similarly and all over the place, then eventually what you're going to do is develop trust, because trust is belief over time, isn't it, really?
Yeah, and if you're consistently look unprofessional, then you're not in a very good place. And I think that goes back to what I was saying at the front. If you are doing social media and all these activities, but the first impression people get when they head to your website, or whatever you're putting out there, and it just looks a bit stale and old, then they're just going to bounce and look at your competition. And yeah, it's the process of branding that it ensures like a professional consistency across all the actions and all the interfaces you got with your audience. So yeah, branding is an act of putting together like a high quality look and feel. So when people do engage with your posts or your brochures or your PowerPoints, it's all unified, and it points to a business that looks credible and attractive and professional, and that attractive uniformity across the entire experience builds that trust. And it is, like you say, it takes time to build trust. I was talking to my friend Marcus, he works in sales yesterday. Marcus Elwell, lovely guy. And I think it's those 7 touch points that they talk about in sales. I don't know a lot about sales, and I'm a branding guy, but people have to see you multiple times to build up that trust. But you got to think, if they're seeing something that looks a bit dodgy, then you're not building that trust. You're doing the opposite. They're like, oh God, it's that lot again. Yeah, they look a bit pants, and they're going to move on to something that looks a little bit more professional and attractive.
Well, I think it's. I mean, attractive is a good portion of it, but I think also once they've got past the physical beauty, I think what they need to see is consistency, don't they? And
Yeah,
then and this could be everything. It's not just the fact that I'm always wearing a hat. It's the fact that my attitude is always the same with underneath the hat. And in the same way, you see any of the other well-known brands, you get to the point where you kind of can prejudge what to expect
yeah,
from the brand.
good point. Yeah. I would say, yeah, you're right. The identity, and I touched on it before. You might have a brilliant identity, but have a really bad service. So
Yes.
you know, you can't judge a book by the cover, as I say. But if you've got a very nice cover, it's very enticing to get people to read the first chapter or two.
Because that's what you want. You want them to lift the bloody top of the book, start trying it out. Yes.
It's an immediate impression. So I agree with you. Like, the true path to get back into growth as a company is to dig deep and uncover and position who we are and what we offer in a way that's irresistible and valuable and different to everyone else. And that comes from looking at your values and why you do things, looking at what you do in more depth, because that's after the initial attraction, there has to be substance there. And
right.
And we talked about this before, didn't we? The 4 stages of branding. So the first stage is looking at brand strategy and your purpose, your values. So yeah,
but that's going to flow through all the aspects of your brand. It's not just simply the shiny overcoat. It's also got to be all the way through. That brand strategy needs to filter through the whole thing, right?
Yeah. And I would say that process, you know, there's a kind of 5-step process. You develop authentic brand values to start with. You know, why you do, you know, that authentic core of why you're doing it, not just to make money, of course. That's expressed through like a compelling and unique brand identity system. That's the outer suit or clothing that your business wears. And then underneath that, you've got a valuable service offer that's aimed at a very precise target niche, which is then showcased on a really excellent sales funnel orientated website. And that, if you've got those things in place, that's going to optimize sales and opportunity. So yeah, that's the heart of branding. It's getting all those ducks in a row. So yeah, and getting it done, that sort of creates this unified system, if you like, and gives you a really rock solid foundation for pretty much every single business activity. Comes from there. So it's vision, meaning, authenticity, differentiation, coherence, flexibility, commitment, value, all that sort of stuff needs to be, needs to be part of what you do. So it's not just the logo and how it looks. You're quite correct there.
It just seems to me that a lot of people spend time picking a color, coming up with a logo, and maybe picking a font even, and then they stop there. They don't necessarily work out what the mission statement really is, work out what their actual mission is, who they're trying to help, and make sure that they often put out that this is who I'm trying to help. It's not just I'm looking to open your purse strings. This is I have a modus operandi. I want to help these people, and by giving consistent support, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's going back to trust. Once you've attracted them, great. You know, once you've got an attractive exterior or brand identity,
right,
and you've opened up that opportunity, they've got to see some substance there. And like you say, there needs to be authenticity is such an overused word, but it needs to be like a natural conversation. And I think what I like to do with businesses, especially techie businesses, is humanize them Businesses are like people. People do business with people, and if someone's landing on your website, they need to feel at home there. They need to see something that reflects back to them who they are. They need to connect with it, and the messaging and the pain points and the resolution, what you offer them, and what makes you different. It's these are things businesses, I know most businesses don't think about these things in depth. They've got a great service, they do great things, but they haven't really thought about how to articulate what they do in a way that's going to engage people and attract people and start conversations.
Well, I was going to say, I was going to say, would it be the best place that if people wanted to start the conversation, perhaps they could go to frank-brands.com and talk about building your brand identity, try and get you on that the starting points that we covered all way back when we first started talking about this. Yeah.
Well,
to start?
That would be a splendid idea. I mean, it's all about conversations, and the first step in to take a backward step. Of course, everyone get in contact with me if you need rebranding. But what I find is that a lot of business owners I talk to, not even if I'm networking, they're not aware of that their website and their brand looks a bit rubbish because they just don't have the ability.
Well, they've been too close to it for too long. I've probably been there since day dot. They're used to it. The fact it doesn't work on mobile phones, I don't care. The fact that all the fonts appear a bit screwed up and the colors aren't right, and you go from one part to another, it looks like they're on different websites, but in fact they're on the same one. All that, I'm used to it by now. It works well enough. That's the thing. I don't necessarily think that unless people are shown these areas and they can see it with real world examples, their own examples, they'll necessarily strike home. If anybody out there wants to put that to the test, see whether or not your identity does flow through the way it should do, have a chat to Frank, put some time in place, and I think at the very least you'll be armed with the idea of whether or not you should be thinking about doing this. Maybe not now, but certainly it should be on the shopping list of things to be done. Frank, thank you so much for helping me and everybody else understand why having a contiguous identity, something that is replicated through all facets, helps with the production of all kinds of marketing content. And to you out there, try and keep your feet on the ground. Keep reaching for the stars. Remember that there is great opportunity out there once everybody realizes that you really are a strong force to be reckoned with. And until next time we speak, have yourselves a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.